A new decree has passed in Russia November 5, saying that for me to obtain Russian residency, I'm going to have to uh, meet new requirements, of many of them having to do with the military. I will have to join the military in the Russian Federation to obtain my Russian residency. Now, before I alarm any people, if they get scared, if they don't want to come to Russia anymore, this doesn't apply for the people right now who are getting the residency under the shared values visa. I will not get it this way. I'm going to show you the new decree. We're going to read over the new requirements, because there's many things that will qualify you for getting the residency, the permanent residency, and citizenship, by the way. Permanent residency and citizenship has been updated in the Russian Federation this November 5 in 2025. So I think this is the first channel to mention this, so pay good attention. Let's look at the decree and then I'll tell you what I think. I will leave a link down below so that you can read it and translate it yourself, and you can interpret it the way you want. On our forums, the Russian Experience, many people are reading over it. We have lawyers reading over it, and this is how it goes, okay? This is the decree the decree 821. You can see that it was passed on November the 5th, and it's going to go over the citizenships and new residency laws. Okay, this one here is already approved. You can see here it says President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin, Moscow, Kremlin, November 5, and it goes on to say more things. It says it was approved. It's basically put into law because this was by the president in the capital, and it's approved. So this is the section where it reads over new regulations for getting citizenship. Okay, this is for citizenship. Here you can see the laws that change for citizenship are almost identical to the ones that are for residency. So let's go ahead down here and read the ones for the residency. You can see as well that the ones for the residency have been approved. They are the same, approved by decree of President of the Russian Federation, and it's on the same day. Okay, now let's read into it. By the way, this video is not being made to scare anybody from coming and getting their Russian permanent residency. I think that this is just important to enlighten the people. Again, the shared values visa for temporary residency, those people, they don't have to fall under this. That is a temporary residency. What has been updated is the permanent residency, and I'm going to be looking over the parts that affect me. We're not going to read over everything, of course. It's just too much. Again, the link is down below if you want to read it yourself and translate it. I just think that these things are important to talk about. So again, this one was approved, and this is regulating on the temporary procedure for issuing residence permits. Okay, this is residence permits. And the part that I think is important for me is these first clauses here. They don't apply for me because this is already, if you've already served and if you've already done time inside the Russian Federation, if you've already done military service, it goes over. You can submit these types of paperworks if you've already done that. Okay, and it also doesn't apply for the citizens of Belarus. What does apply to me is this one here, because it says when applying for a residency permit in the Russian Federation in accordance with this regulation should submit, and then it tells you the things that you will have to submit if you are going to apply. This is for people who are applying now after November 5. This does not matter to the people who are already Russian residents, permanent residents. Okay, this is going to affect me as someone who is going to apply in the future. Our original copy certifying the identity and citizenship of the applicant or absence of citizenship. In the absence of such a document, copy. So it says, okay, you need some information. It says 4 photographs of the applicant that meet the requirements by the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Okay. A contract for military service or a copy of such contract certified in the established manner. Okay. The original and copy of the document certifying the change of surname. So this is saying if you uh, change all of these things. A certificate confirming military service during the special military operation. Okay, so you have to meet some of these new prerequisites, is what I'm understanding. Um, and I don't know, I don't know if people feel comfortable with doing this. I don't know if people are comfortable with signing a contract or serving in the military, because the age gap is 18 to 65, and I know that's pretty big for some people. Like if you're 60 years old, obviously they're not going to be taking people who are sick, because there's waivers to this, right? I do have some injuries, but I don't think that they're injuries that would keep me out of the military. I think I'm pretty fit to join like 90% of any world's military, because you just get worked into shape and the way conflicts work. But in this new decree, it really outlines new forms, new requisites, I guess, new things you have to meet when applying for permanent residency. Again, this doesn't affect the people who already are permanent residents. This is going to affect the people who want permanent residency in the future. This does not this does not ruin the shared values visa. Okay, I could go that way. I can get the shared values visa and get temporary residency. This is not what I need. I need permanent residency. My son was born. Originally, if I would have had a son last year, I would have been able to apply for residency, and just by having a son and being married in Russia would have been enough to get me my residency inside of Russia. But it looks like this new decree really has mixed things up. If you have the time to read through this thing, let me know what you think. This is honestly, I think the interpretation, what I'm getting from it, is that if you're going to apply for Russian permanent residency in the future, you are going to have to meet this new military prerequisite for obtaining that permanent residency. You can apply if one of the following conditions is met. Again, there are many options to doing this, but I feel like I fall under the one that says if you're going to apply in the future, then you shall submit the following military things, like it says a military contract and all of these things. I'm not sure 100%, but whatever happens in the future when I apply, I am not scared of signing a contract that makes me serve in the military. I feel like all of the Russian citizens already do that anyways. It's just a little bit interesting that they would do it for the permanent residents, but there was a case, and this is how it works in the United States. People with green cards back in the Vietnam era, they were being drafted. They weren't even full citizens, they were permanent residents. So this is not something that's unprecedented. This was actually done by the United States during the Vietnam War. Now, I don't know if they're doing this because this has something to do with numbers in the military. Who knows, right? But from what I understand, this is something that's already existed in the United States, and this is why I'm not really scared of it. It is what it is. I could also not apply for Russian permanent residency, but that is not something that I'm going to avoid. I have a son who was born in Russia a month ago. Today's his 1 month since he was born, and I always planned on getting Russian permanent residency the old school way, not with the shared values, not with anything else. I planned on following the path that I was on. I will say though, this is a little bit shocking because nothing could have kind of predicted that that was something that was going to happen, right? Nobody really thought that to get permanent residency, this was going to be another thing added. Now, I have to say, if you've already, for permanent residency, do your military service, then your contract follows up towards your citizenship. If you wanted to be a citizen, you would have paperwork that says you had already served, because for the prerequisites for the citizenship, it also asks if you've served, you can bring that document, remember, that says you've done your time, or if they didn't take you, if you were ineligible and you get your permanent residency, you can use the same paperwork for your citizenship. What do you guys think? Have you heard of this on other channels? Am I just letting you know? Or is this something that you think is fake? Because the decree is there. This is how I interpret it. And I'm almost positive because we've had conversations about this on our Telegram, The Russian Experience. It's also going to be linked down below. And there's many people talking about it. Again, I will be applying for Russian permanent residency. My son was born. I will sign a contract. Why? Because if it's the prerequisite for obtaining this, then I will do it. Of course, I will tell them all the things that are broken in my body from my time in the military and in the war in Afghanistan. If they see me fit, then they will take me. If they see me unfit, then they'll give me a waiver not to go. I will not be looking for a waiver. I know a lot of people who have been in Russia. They've even gotten citizenships, they've gotten residencies. They look for those waivers. A lot of people who lived in Russia, who left Russia after the conflict started, they looked for those waivers. They don't want to sign and do their time. I have to, because it says if you are residing in Russia, if you're permanently living in Russia. Right now, I am living in Russia. If I apply for a permanent residency, I will be living in Russia. And I can't stop saying this, my son is from here, and it's just how it works. When I served in the United States Marine Corps, I did it not just for myself, but for my mother, who came from Mexico, and it's just a sense of duty and honor to serve the country that you're living inside of. And there's a story about an American who did just that, and it seems like he went before everyone else, and this law is coming into effect. I don't remember his name, but I think it was some guy from Texas. He has some kids, and he signed a military contract, and I think recently got his citizenship. That's just the way it is. That's the way things are changing. There are so many decrees passing in Russia, and this is just number 821, I believe, right? And it's just going to keep changing, guys. This can change in the future. Yes, 821. This can change in the future. But for now, that is what's happening. And please do consider subscribing, support the channel. It's free to subscribe. If you know this channel, thank you so much for the support. And if you don't know, I'm a Mexican American who came to Siberia in Russia in April 2022. I came here early in the conflict, not knowing that things were going to happen the way they happened. I found a girlfriend here. I was married. I had a child. We bought land. We bought an apartment. And I basically make videos updating you on our life, and videos like this showing you the news that are happening here in Russia. Again, please consider subscribing, hit notification, do all those nice things that help the channel grow. Thank you. There is also, by the way, something that does scare me. I come from a region where a lot of men have served. My town is heroic by now, by the amount of men who have fallen in the conflict. And the thing that scares me is being sent to a unit. You know, I don't speak perfect Russian. Of course, I could learn by the time I apply. But the thing is, I wonder what they're going to do with the new military members who are from like Western countries. Are they going to put them all in one unit, put them in, mix them in? What about the Westerners who come with no Russian and no military experience? This is something that really I'm wondering, because Russia is going to have, let's just say, let's say 1,000 new recruits. under this new decree, what are they going to do with those 1,000 men, right? You're looking at like a battalion worth of no Russian speaking, no combat experience. This is something that Russia really has to think about. How are they going to manage these multicultural, multi-languaged people? I'm really wondering if they're going to have any special instructors, any special military training, if they're even going to be sent to the front, what exactly is going to happen. This is probably my biggest concern because from my region, like I said, in my town, there's many heroic men already, but these are Russian speaking men, these are Russian living men, men who are much stronger, more rugged than Westerners and even myself, I would say. So these men were born and molded for this type of lifestyle, the rugged lifestyle, which helps them in the conflict. But these Westerners who come 18 to 65, first of all, the 18-year-olds are probably the weakest. A man in war, from my experience, really hits his prime in about mid 20s. This is when you're really effective, to late 20s. Even early 30s is prime for this type of lifestyle. But after 40, after 50, even into your 60s, this is something that's really worrying me. So I'm wondering if there's going to be any follow-up news on this. Hopefully we get more news, but am I wrong for being worried about that portion? How are these people going to be managed? How am I potentially going to be managed in the future when and if I sign that contract? What is going to be of me? This is something that sort of haunts me because I am combat decorated. A lot of people might say, oh, it's not like the war right now in Ukraine, but I fought in trenches. I fought storming positions. I've gone towards rounds, right? And this is not my problem. My problem is who's going to lead me, how are we going to communicate, and who am I going to be paired up with? Okay, if you have a team of an American, a French guy, a freaking German, yeah, kind of nine. Like I can't imagine. Ich kann nicht Deutsch sprechen. Ne? I can't speak German. Yeah, oui, parler français. I don't speak that French. I understand a little bit of Italian and Portuguese. These are Romance languages, but could you imagine me and like 5 other nationalities? How are we going to work all under a Russian officer or staff non-commissioned officer? How does it work? Thank you so much for watching this video. This is the latest news. I might make a future update on this when I gather more information, but for now, this is my interpretation. If you want to be a Russian resident, permanent resident, you will most likely have to sign a contract if you are capable and your body is healthy enough. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.